Hello everyone, I'm Devinder. Today we have Oliver Selt from WebARX Security, and he's the co-founder of this amazing security product for WordPress users. He's gonna give us the overview and demo on how to use this product on your WordPress website. So let's welcome Oliver. Hi, Oliver.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing good. So are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. So
Okay.
I'm gonna, I guess some people already saw I think we did a podcast last time.
Yep.
So we did give a bit of an intro about what the company is about and so forth. So let me just jump into the screen share.
Okay, so we are in the WebARX security dashboard, right?
So yes, so this is the main dashboard where basically, let's say you're an agency, or if you're a freelancer, or if you're just a website owner having multiple websites, that's the place where you have the generic overview of the whole kind of your portfolio of websites. Okay. So you will basically see all the information on all the kind of indicators about the websites. You can see what's going on with the uptime of the websites. You can see what is going on with the blacklisting. So sometimes, your website might end up in a blacklist, whether it's from previous infections or whether it's from, some email, bad email campaigns, for example, with a very high bounce rate. Mm-hmm. So these kind of things can happen.
And the tags that you see here, client, WordPress, e-commerce, that is a user can add those tags for, organization of multiple websites.
Yeah, you can just add whatever here. So it's easier for you to later use the search bar to find the websites that you want to look into. Okay. So for example, you can just add tags like all the e-commerce sites, and you can add tags for like all the client sites and so forth.
Okay, so this dashboard window gives us the basic overview, right?
Yeah, this gives you the basic overview of like the main indicators which you want to know and which you want to look at. Mm-hmm. For example, also the SSL, if your certificate is going to expire, or if the certificate has any issues for the SSL or TLS. And then, also about the security risk, which is directly connected to an actual vulnerability on the website, which can be, for example, plugin vulnerabilities. So basically you will also see the different attacks that have been blocked on the website. You can see which sites over time have gone down, so you can investigate them further. And then basically if you click on the website, it will open up a more specific view. Let me do that. So here you will see the full information about this one specific website. Mm-hmm. So you can see all the information about the uptime. You can see all the information about the different attacks being blocked. And then you have like the first kind of monitoring results that are done on a daily basis. So it's gonna check on your website for plugin vulnerabilities. It's checking if there's any security headers that are missing. It's checking for PHP versions, errors.
And this rescan button at the top, is it like you can manually do a scan on demand? Like if you scroll up?
Yeah, you can exactly. So you can do it on demand as well, but it's mainly done automatically. And you will receive alerts based on what you want to know, if something is getting like a positive hit, for example. Mm-hmm. And you can set the notifications to Slack, and you can also set the notifications to an email. Okay. For us, it's very convenient to have all these notifications in a single Slack channel. Mm-hmm. So this works the best for us. Okay. And you will also have like the full overview of firewall logs. Mm-hmm. So with the firewall log, with the firewall itself, you basically on the left side of the menu, you can manage the whole firewall settings. Mm-hmm. You can create your own firewall rules. You can create your own firewall modules, which consist of different rules. And by default, you basically have the OWASP top 10 rules, which is rules to block SQL injection, cross-site scripting, all these different vulnerabilities that are on the web applications and also on WordPress.
So basically, firewall rules are already set up, which is included in the top 10, but you can add on to these as per your requirement.
Yeah, so for example, sometimes you want to redirect WP admin to somewhere else, or sometimes you want to, for example, you can just select the user agent, which is, for example, Internet Explorer very old version, and you can create the rule that if the user is with Internet Explorer old version, it will be redirected to your, some specific page.
Can you show by making one rule here, like?
Yeah, so basically the rules can be made by just you type new rule. So you can see, for example, you want to whitelist WP admin page. So you can by default put it into a blacklist. So all the IPs will be blocked, and then you will put it into the into whitelist. So you put all requests, and then basically you will just put match IP address, and you can just start adding IP addresses, which can then access the WP admin.
Okay, so you can add the IPs that can only access WP admin, and all other would not be able to access it, right?
Yeah, so it's very flexible. So you can really, you can even do it in a way that you can also match like different headers. This part is probably the most technical part, which might need some technical knowledge as well, but we are adding like new modules ourselves as well. So it's easier for people to actually kind of follow that as well.
Okay.
But yeah, you can do.
And next to create rule, you had an option called create module. Is it like a section containing number of rules within it?
Yeah, so basically you can create like a module, which is for for something specific for like, for example, creating protection for a WP admin folder, for example. But then you don't only protect it with just an IP block, but you also protect it in a way that you allow only specific user agent. For example, you can do it in a way that all the bots are basically blocked from the WP admin because you only enable user agent Chrome, for example, or which is your own browser agent. So basically these kind of things can create like a one strong module that basically that they would need to match like so many different variables that it's almost impossible for the bot to actually be able to even access the admin panel.
Okay, just curious, like besides those 10 default rules, do most of your users create additional rules?
Yes, they do. Yeah, a lot of users make rules to actually block different pages from different IPs. For example, they create their own blacklist, IP blacklists. They also make their own whitelist for different URLs. And the thing is that you can, what you can basically do is you can make the rule to if you unclick the whitelist here, you can basically make it either log. So in this case, if it's matching, it doesn't block or anything. It just logs the information about how many people even hit this. And or you can just basically hit block, or you can also have redirect. So you basically send the users to someone else.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, and yeah, basically you can put them into different modules. And like, for example, this one is WordPress virtual patches, which is automatically enabled to all WordPress sites that are being added to WebARX portal, which means that whenever a plugin vulnerability or like a template vulnerability or something is coming out, this is automatically sending the patches to the website. So these can be basically exploited.
Just like we update antivirus with updates, like these are updates sent by you and automatically applied, right?
Yeah. These are automatically applied across the whole network of the websites that we protect.
And what else settings are there within it? Like if you click on the manage button?
So yeah, in the manage button, you will have basically the websites that you can enable them.
Cool.
Yeah. But because these modules are basically maintained by us, so we basically have a team who is working on the security rules and doing research on what kind of different vulnerabilities are in software. We just lately actually released a open source tool for WordPress plugin developers to find plugin vulnerabilities automatically from the source code. So we're using these different kind of tools also internally to kind of find the plugin vulnerabilities before the bad guys do, so your sites will stay protected.
Okay.
And yeah, you can also make like the site groups. So basically you can create a group, add a bunch of websites in there, and then add your own modules or our modules to this group. So
it's like a tree structure. You can have a group of sites within that. It can have modules, of rules,
Yeah.
and then there will be individual rule within a module, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So this gives a lot of flexibility, and we are about to, add more and more modules in there. We are planning to maybe even make it like a open library, so other other people who have come up with a very good rules, that they can also add them in this library, so other people can start using their own rules. Okay. So going back to this website where I was showing you the firewall rules.
This one.
Yeah, this one. So yeah, you can basically have the full overview of the firewall rules. You can also whitelist so everything you see here is already blocked. Okay. So what you can see here, what is considered as WP scan, is basically a enumeration of the plugins. So for most of the bots or the attacking spots to get or try to infect your website, they first try to enumerate what kind of plugins are installed on your website, so they can add it to automated exploitation tools. So basically, what you can do here is, in some cases, if you want, you can also kind of whitelist these queries right directly from here as well. I don't want to do that right here because these are legit attacks. So
okay.
Yeah.
So these can also see reports, right? It would be, you can also find this under reports tab, right?
Yeah, you can see, you don't see the, under reports, you don't see as detailed as this. Okay. But it's more generic overview.
Because reports will give you the basic overview of the reports of all the sites.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, the firewall, these logs are all based on one website. So these, like sometimes, for example, this was this, I think, convert plug exploit and this power pack thing. So then you would see exactly under this type, you would see the exact plugin that is tried to be exploited. Okay. So this gives you a very good overview of like what kind of plugins are being targeted on your website. And yeah, from there on, you will see the uptime log. So this will show you whenever website have gone down. It will show you when did it happen, what status code the server gave, what was the response time, and so forth. And then you will see the full activity log. So you will see all the information about what's been going on the website. You can see who activated plugins, who posted something, who did. You will have like complete overview of what is going on inside of your website.
And for how many days or months?
We keep it indefinitely. Okay. So basically, you will have the logs. As long as you added the website, installed WebARX, the logs are not going to be kept on your website forever to reduce the load on your resources. Okay. But we keep it on more optimized servers, so you can have access.
Information is coming from information stored on your website, or it's on the WordPress website for which we are seeing the results.
So this information is being sent from the WordPress website to the panel. Okay. So you don't have to keep the logs on the WordPress site itself. For the performance and
Yeah, because it will inflate the database and
exactly. Yeah. And it's the same thing with firewall logs. The website itself won't hold the logs, forever. As long as they can send the logs to WebARX portal, the logs from the website itself will be deleted. So it will, be optimized for the performance in all the ways. But yeah, here, like we had an incident, I think a month ago or so, where one of our customers was actually, it was an agency whose customer was reaching out to the client of ours and said that, hey, my website was hacked. All the images are broken on the website and so forth. And then he just went to the activity logs and just looked at different, what's been going on the website. And there was a intern who had deleted the media files, or like the whole folder from the media catalog. And that's why like all the pictures went down, and it was very easy to pretty much, pinpoint it from here. So it can be very, very useful. And yeah, from the hardening point, basically what you can do, all this information is, all this information is what you also see from the WordPress plugin. So if you install WebARX on your WordPress site, you will also have this view on under settings security, where you have additional hardening settings. So you will have, cookie notice bars. You have login protection. So you have two-factor authentication. You can, do a lot of different hardening, tasks here, like, adding reCAPTCHA to like comments form, login form, registration form, and so forth. But what's great is that you can do all of that from WebARX portal. So you don't need to log into each website separately and see what kind of hardening options are there already met, but you can do all from here as well.
So those settings will sync automatically.
Yeah, these settings will sync automatically.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and you can also like change different firewall settings. For example, you can set like in how many failed or like how many blocked queries an IP will be blocked and for how long. You can basically add security headers automatically from here. You can prevent default WordPress file accesses. So for example, WP config file accesses. You can block access to debug file. You can disable index views, so the category, so you can't basically move alongside of the catalogs. You can even, have, image hot linking prevented here, proxy commenting, and you can even have your own HT access rules here if you have an Apache setup. So there's a lot of different options from here as well. And from the login protection side, you can basically rename the WP admin folder location, like the admin panel location.
URL.
Yeah, the URL. You can even set up logon hours if you know that on
That's
a very
interesting.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that you can actually do.
Yeah,
So two-factor
I'm a little curious. Like there's so many options, but for a person who doesn't know much about and doesn't want to invest too much time in customizing, I think out of the box default option would be good enough for majority of users, right?
Yeah. Default options are basically something that are out of the box already working. Firewall is working, security monitoring is working, alerts are all like automatically turned on, like all the main critical things are turned on. So if you need like some very like specific things, then this is the place where to look at.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, two-factor authentication, when you turn it on, basically, if you go to your WordPress site and go to edit my profile page, you will see that every account can set two-factor authentication separately. So you can use like Google Authenticator app and so forth. But then again, when it comes to like e-commerce sites, you can't pretty much force users to start using two-factor authentication. So
yeah, that's more secure.
Yeah. So there's like the cookie notice bar. So whenever you're serving customers in EU, you can basically configure the full cookie notice bar here for the site. So
you don't need another plugin for that.
Yeah. I mean, our goal also is to reduce the number of plugins on the sites, as we know that it is the biggest issue for WordPress sites right now. Like 98% of the vulnerabilities are based on WordPress plugins. So some statistics. And when you go to software tab, here you can see all the plugins that are installed on the website. Okay. You can see which ones are turned on. You can see the change log. You can update them from here. And basically you will see all the information about if there's any vulnerabilities associated with the plugins and so forth.
So the safe will say unsafe if you found something wrong with specific plugin here, right?
Yeah. So basically, if it's unsafe, it means that it has, like this current version has a vulnerability. Let me check if I can find. So basically, I think this one is showing. Yeah. So if you have a vulnerability on the site, you will have this kind of error right away.
Okay.
So this is detecting all the like it's checking all the software on the website. And if this specific version is vulnerable, then it's gonna, show it here.
Okay.
So from remotely, I can just turn it off right here.
And you can also delete it if you want to.
Yeah, I can delete it as well. If I want to make it quickly, get rid of it without going through all the sites.
So virtually you can do every setting change from this panel, and you don't need to actually change anything from WordPress dashboard. The only thing is, firstly, you have to just install and activate the plugin there, right?
Yeah. And you saw how easy it is to install it,
Yeah,
so,
the normal process. But you can also install it from the, I think we didn't go through it, but I know offsite that you can also install the WordPress plugin from this dashboard itself without logging into your WordPress, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So from here on, you can also see your users. You can delete the users. You can reset the password of the users.
Okay.
This can be very helpful, especially when you have like open subscriptions or open registrations. And here again, you can also check like which modules are enabled on this specific website. So you can just enable them from here as well.
Okay. So this is like okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's basically what you can manage for a single website from this dashboard. So yeah, here it's like an additional place just to basically make sure or add or like activate the different modules that you would otherwise see from the firewall management.
By default, like, does this send notification for every small thing, like a plugin update is available and you've not updated it, or some vulnerability has been detected, or some login attempt was done from which you've set a firewall restriction? So does this trigger email notification for all these items?
So we don't send notifications about the logins that are trying to be done for the blocked IPs.
Okay.
Mainly because you didn't want them in the first place.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming. Like it can be a lot.
Yeah. So instead of that, we do enable all these things automatically, but these ones are all critical. So it's whether you have actual vulnerabilities on the website, that means that the plugin needs updating or attention immediately. When the site goes down, you obviously want to know that. Also, when the domain is expiring within the next 31 days, because we've seen users who forget it, and it's not going to be a good time because there are bots that are buying the domains right away.
This is actually a cool option,
Yeah, because it's actually very, very, actually this happened also with Google. Google.com. Someone bought the Google.com domain, but Google got it back, fortunately.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So you will also see like if the SSL or if the actual certificate is going to expire. What happens when a certificate expires? People can't access the site anymore. So they will see this red banner.
Curious, like the domain expiring information. So your software check the who of the domain and then matches what is the expiry date there, and then processes that information and sends to the user, right?
Yes.
Similar for SSL certificate.
Exactly.
Okay, because these things are not there in the WordPress dashboard, right? Like these are like normally, obviously they are available on the web, but you got to, search for it.
Yeah, it has to be searched for externally because we have to make a query against the domain itself.
Exactly.
So it's like a whois query, and then you can see. And with the certificates, it's the same thing. You have to actually check from the issuer when does the certificate expire. So
and what is the mention in hacker community? Like some plugin got mentioned and you've been using it, like something?
This is actually a different thing. It's whether your domain itself is being mentioned in like, for example, defacement databases or hacker forums, and we also check for Pastebin and all these places where whenever your website is being basically listed there, so you would know that it's also
people are showing interest in hacking your website.
Yeah, and sometimes they just sometimes you can also detect like defacements from these kind of pages. So we do own some of such databases where we receive around, I would say, like 2,000 to 3,000 incidents every single day where websites are being defaced. So for this kind of defacement things, basically, you will get a notification if your domain is being kind of mentioned in any of these kind of places. It's similar to blacklists, but the backlists are owned by security companies, but the mentions are actual hacker communities.
That's interesting.
And for blacklist entry, you will get notification when your site is being blacklisted in Google Safe Browsing, Norton Safe Web, McAfee, Fish Tank, all these different places.
Okay.
And you can also then, set like a separate, like also an alternative email as well.
Okay.
So yeah, from here, basically, for if you're an agency, for example, it's also important for you to kind of give access to different developers in your house.
Yeah.
So for example, if you have, let's say 5 developers who are all building websites to their customers or to the company's customers, for example, you want to give like a team access to all these members in your company. So basically what you can do here is you can give access to, there's like a different account types that you can generate within the WebARX portal. So you can also give access to the developers, but you can also give access to the customers themselves. So with the customers, you can basically do it in a way that you will give them access, but they can't change the settings on the portal. So they have the full overview of what is going on the site, but they can't mess anything up if they're, not aware of what to do and so forth.
Okay.
So here you can basically, just simply create new users and assign different websites to these users as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you have reports. Reports is very useful for kind of showing the website owners, or let's say from agency point of view again, to show what's going on the website.
Can you generate a report per website here?
Yeah, so you can generate a report and select like a specific time frame.
Okay.
So when basically I can select the website and then take a time frame. I've also generated it here, and you will get the PDF report, which you can then hand over to your customers, for example.
So this is from May 28 to 26, right? So,
yeah.
Okay, so that's a neat way to display a report. And is there an option to, white label this?
Yes, there is an option to white label this right here. So you can basically add your own company logo there, and this will be, changed here. So we'll have basically with your own company logo, and you will give it to your customer and saying that, hey, we have been blocking so many attacks on your website. The attacks were like coming from, different sources, showing also like what kind of things you have been keeping okay on the website and so forth.
This is very good for people who manage sites on care plans. Like they can automatically generate reports and tell clients that we are actually doing something on your website, right?
Yeah, and like in our from our side, our main focus is to actually help these agencies and these freelancers, whoever maintain a lot of websites, to help them automate the security as much as possible, and to give them themselves as well as much overview as possible. So yeah.
And your platform is mostly WordPress focused, or like people from other CMS also use this platform?
So it's being used by other CMSs as well. We have people who use Joomla, Drupal, Magento, and also custom PHP websites.
Does it work on hosted platforms? I guess no, right?
With hosted platforms, I don't think so. You mean, for example,
like
WordPress.com?
Teachable, Thinkific, or WordPress.com, like something that you don't host on your server?
Yeah, usually they don't really want to work there because they are very strict to the different plugins that are being used.
Okay. So
the other thing,
what is there in the change log option here? Like, does it show all the changes next to the support option at the bottom?
Change log. This is just our own change log of WebARX portal and WebARX product itself. So you will have like the overview of what different updates we've been releasing to the actual platform.
And support
so you can always.
What are the support options that are available?
So we have chat option for every customer.
Okay, can you go back to the previous screen where you have the support option? So just want to see when person clicks on the support option, what all options you get there.
Yeah, so basically there's this direct chat option.
Okay.
So you can chat directly with our team. So there will be the first level support and the second level support. So the first level support is more like less technical, collecting more information about what's going on. And then when enough information is collected, or if the issue isn't resolved, then it will be redirected to the second level support, which are directly our developers and our security analysts.
Okay, now I'm gonna put you under the bus here a little. So lot of people, a lot of WordPress user who might be, watching this or interested in this, they might be using a WordPress plugin, to say the least. Now, yours is not a plugin, it's a service that is obviously connected via WordPress plugin. But a lot of people just use a WordPress plugin, say, login attempts plugin, or, managing HT access rules within WordPress dashboard using that plugin within the dashboard. Now, someone who's using that kind of, setup for their security as of now and looking for an option like WebARX, how would you sell this solution to that person?
I think there's like main value points is the fact that I already bring out is that 98% of the vulnerabilities come from plugins.
Yeah.
So basically the more plugins you have, it's like just exponentially, the risk is just raising of how big option there is that your website is going to end up with a vulnerable software.
Mm-hmm.
So from our point of view, with WebARX, you can reduce the number of plugins with at least with like 3 plugins. It depends on what kind of security plugins, for example, you've been using before. The other thing is that a lot of those security plugins, which are just writing a bunch of rules in your htaccess file, for example, they load your website a lot. So the site will get slower as they have to pretty much process all the htaccess rules for every single request. WebARX works completely differently. We tap into the PHP itself. So basically, WebARX runs before running the PHP, and we only run through the rules that I showed you based on which basically plugins or software is installed on your website. And the other thing,
yeah, continue, then I'll ask you.
Yeah. So yeah, another thing is that basically you will receive automatically all the rules for the firewall. Mm-hmm. So basically we have a team of security researchers who are working hard to find vulnerabilities within the plugins that you are basically using. Mm-hmm. It's not just looking on the web like what is being attacked, but we proactively analyze the source code of different plugins, and whenever we find something, the rules are being released to the for example WordPress virtual patches rule or to the module automatically. So your site is always up to date with the latest rules. For example, yeah, it's very good example to bring out this convert plug exploit, for example, which we were able to protect all our customers from, but we know that our competitors weren't able to do that. Mm-hmm. Because we saw them, being infected. But this is all because of our internal tools for the static code analysis and for the research.
Yeah, last 2 weeks there have been 2 plugins that have been used for exploitation and actually messed up few sites. I won't name those plugins to give the bad press and all that, but yes, I know your company was on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question I was going to ask you, does it matter which hosting infrastructure or type of hosting infrastructure a WordPress user is using to leverage your security setup? Like it could be a cheaper economical hosting like HostGator or GoDaddy to an expensive one like say cloud hosting, Cloudways or something like that.
We have a very good example of why you shouldn't use a very cheap hosting. One of the main reasons is obviously you pay what you pay for. You get what you pay for.
Yep.
But the thing is that, for example, I think it was a week ago, a customer came to us and said that they had like a lot of pharma links, like Canadian pharma, this kind of spam links on their website. And we did full audit, we did full analysis on the website. We ran through the database, file servers, everything. And what we ended up with was that there was nothing on the website itself. So basically the hosting provider's their own ecosystem was basically targeted by the bots and somehow managed to inject pharma through the actual, I think it was through the content delivery or something like that, to the website. So basically, if you have a very cheap hosting provider, you have much higher risk of having incidents on your website as well.
Do you recommend specific hosting that a person should not use or specific hosting that a person should use?
I also don't want to start naming, different hosts for the fact that which you shouldn't use. Okay. But I think you should look for the ones For example, I think SiteGround is pretty decent one, which is still on the kind of cheap end. And there's also cloud hosting platforms. For example, Cloudways, which are like more kind of managed and all more managed towards WordPress itself as well.
Okay, let's see the pricing. Just bring up the pricing page. Let's see what it costs for a person to get the WebARX security set up on there.
Sure. So basically, we have 3 different pricing models. We have like the essential plan for website owners, which is like $4.99 per month per website. So this is already including, the managed web application firewall, virtual patching, malware prevention, and all that, as we showed you from the as the firewall modules and everything. It also includes all the daily security scans that you saw, blacklist and reputation monitoring, domain and SSL expiration monitoring, hardening, plugin updates, and all the ability to manage multiple domains on the single dashboard.
Okay.
And then you have the Pro plan, which includes all the essential plan features. But additionally, you will have the ability to start creating your own firewall rules, like very granular access to basically creating the new policies, creating the new modules, adding the modules to the group, and so forth. And you will also have like the firewall remote management, which is kind of the same thing from the firewall management side of point of view. And then you will have the PDF security reports. You will have Slack reports from here, and actually live chat support is all now included in both of those, so I can change that as well. But basically, Pro plan is more for technical development, kind of a bit more for a bit more technical people, and then enterprise version is basically unlimited plan. You won't be billed per website, but we basically have a custom deal with every. It's for more bigger agencies who have like 200 websites, for example. And so we will have custom deals with all.
Yearly pricing also, or just the monthly one?
We only have monthly one.
Okay. Cool. So I guess the first plan is good enough for someone who's DIY and just has their own website to manage, and who's not
absolutely
gonna make custom rules for firewall and all that stuff, or not even generate report because he can see himself. But I guess the Pro version would be good enough for people who run agency and have people clients on a care plans, right?
Yeah, and actually we also have like a volume discount. So whenever you have like 100 sites or like 200 sites, the per site price is just dropping dramatically. So
okay, cool. So before we wrap this demo, do you want to say something that I may have missed or you may have missed?
I'm not sure. I think we have covered most of the stuff. I think I would be happy to also give all the listeners a discount code, which I can give you later, so you can add it somewhere on the
notes.
On the call. And we have 14 days free trial, so feel free to play with it, try it out. During the trial, you will have the full Pro version, so you can basically create your own rules, enable the firewall, see what kind of different bots are targeting your website and what is being already blocked.
Yeah, and one thing I really liked is, besides obviously the security and the extra security things that will happen to your website, it also is time saving because you can do almost everything from WebARX portal rather than logging into individual, WordPress website.
And it has a connection to security, because with security is the thing that when you start missing things, so if you start missing different information, especially when you have a lot of websites where you have to have this information constantly, then you're going to start having issues. So this is also a very important part for actually being able to provide this kind of security across all your websites.
Awesome. Looks really good. I've heard lots of good things about it, and I'm sure a lot of people will jump on to see what it is all about and most likely get on with it. So thank you, Oliver, for your time and sharing the demo of this awesome product. Have a good day.
I'm happy to do it. You too.